on to the final session, which is on nation building, building communities, CSR, social development goals. And I would request Ms. Mallika Mutreja to start the proceedings.
Thank you for being such an awesome audience, attending all the sessions with rapt attention. We are on the last session today, and slightly different session from what you typically see in HR conclaves, and consciously so. We've been speaking about the life cycle of an employee, the impact on us and our responsibility as HR, but an important space that we all do contribute to, but we often don't talk about, is our role in building the nation, our role in building youth employability, skill development, and that's the intention of the last session of the conclave, to speak about how we're building the nation in terms of building communities, CSR, and in terms of social development goals. May I request our session anchor, and I would like, it's my privilege to introduce her, Dr. Raju Mistry. Dr. Raju is an accomplished and veteran human resources leader with over 27 years of global experience across various sectors like chemicals, pharma, FMCG, textiles, etc. Currently, the Global Chief Human Resources Officer of CIPLA. And prior to that, Dr. Raju was the CHRO at Jubilant Life Sciences Limited. And she has led talent, employer brand, leadership programs for Aditya Birla Group, and was the CHRO of Grasim's pulp and fiber business before that. She has experience across Tata Sons, Colpal, Siemens, and Mastec Corporation Canada. Thank you so much, Dr. Raju Mistry, for gracing us with your presence. It's also my pleasure to invite the esteemed panel, Mr. Aman Sharma, co-founder Teach, Dr. Alok Juneja, VP BRF Development Research Foundation, and Ms. Farida Lambe, co-founder Pratham. Thank you, everyone, and over to you, Dr. Raju.
Thank you so much. And you would have noticed that all of us were really waiting here so that we don't lose time, right? Because we are very acutely aware that we are standing between you and lunch. We have a 40-minute session, and trust me, we will keep it to time. But for that, we will need some help from you. The last part where we open the questions to the audience, we would request you that we will take these questions offline over lunch, and feel free to engage with the panelists or any one of us for these question and answers, right? For the last day and a half, we have been listening about human touch, AI, and some very interesting sessions that have happened. What you are going to be witnessing today is not just human touch, but a touch of the heart, okay? And therefore, may I request all of you to, focus on this session, because what you are going to be witnessing today is an awesome display of passion and purpose together. And trust me, some of these stories that you're going to hear will inspire you so much, will touch a chord in your heart, that one of the outcomes that we are looking forward from this session is that you go back inspired and doing at least one thing that you can towards building the nation, okay? So spending 40 minutes, a delay is a small sacrifice to ask between you, for you to build the nation, right? And here we have some very distinguished panel members who have done some outstanding work, and I'm sure most of you may not be aware of what they have contributed in their own ways. So without much ado, and I'm sure you have read their bios in the details that have been shared with you, without further ado, what I would like to now ask, we'll start with Farida, to talk about, Farida is from Pratham, and Pratham is a very well-known organization. So we have Pratham, and we have Farida from Pratham, we have Dr. Alok Juneja from BAF, and Aman Sharma from Teach. Two people representing the education, and education in differently challenged environments as well. And we have Dr. Juneja talking about the environment and his contributions to that area, and sustainable living. So let's start with Farida. Farida, please tell us what got you inspired into Pratham and your story, and tell us a little bit more about your journey in this endeavor.
Good afternoon. If I have to start my journey, it will take a long time. So I'm going to make it very brief. I'm actually a social work professional. I'm a former vice principal of College of Social Work. My father was in government service and he always believed that children must go to the neighborhood school. So when I was young, with all my brothers, we were in a public school, which is today called municipal schools. And where I was living, there were a lot of children in the slums and kind of plastic shanties where I always wondered that how do they even stand up? Will they never grow up in their heights because the covers are so small? And somewhere in my mind I had, when I grow up, I'm going to do something with these children. So I think it is destined that I was going to do something. Pratham came about with the humble beginnings in Mumbai, where Madhav Chavan, my co-founder, we both were working in Mumbai. He's a scientist, I'm a social work professional. So there was this head and heart combination. He was more science, I was more talking about persons. And we began with a survey in Mumbai where we saw almost 2.5 lakh children out of school. And this is when I started in 94. And parents were not aware of education. There were no preschool. I'm going to make it a little fast. And we said that something needs to be done. And when we say we, it was not only the two of us, but it was UNICEF, and it was a lot of people in the corporate sector. That time, mind you, there was no CSR, but people said that we must do something for the city, which is the financial city of Mumbai, where half the children's population are not in school. What are we here for? And I think that was the beginning of Pratham. Today we are in all over India. We have working with almost 556 million children, with 7,000 employees, working with the government. And our mantra has been, don't substitute the government, but supplement the government efforts. Go with the people and do what people want. And therefore, I just want to say my journey here was to look at, and we dreamt, Madhav and I both dreamt, that every child in school and learning well. And way back in 94, our trustees or some of the people who were with us felt we were a little mad. And how can we say that? So at one point, I had to tell them that for this kind of a dream, you have to be a little mad, because that was an addiction. So, and after that, we have not looked back. I'll come back after others talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Farida. Over to you, Dr. Jineja.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. I am basically a veterinarian, and I have served government for 27 years. But now I am with the non-government organization for last 8 years. I'll share one very interesting story. In the year 2018, one story published in newspaper Times of India that women not far from Mumbai, only 2 hours drive, and women are deprived of drinking water. And they have to stand in queues since 2 o'clock in the morning, and to fetch 2 pots of water, they have to travel 6 to 7 kilometers. And no one is ready to marry their girls in those villages that is very near to Mumbai. So immediately Hindustan Unilever and BIAF, we both acted upon. And when we went, we saw there was a very good rainfall precipitation, 2,500 to 3,500 millimeter. And reason when we searched, people were not getting drinking water because it was mostly drained off. People were living in hilly region, and groundwater recharge was not there, and no infrastructure development. They were dependent on water tankers only. Most of the villagers, they were dependent on water tankers for more than 9 to 10 months. So we immediately chose 3 villages, and we later on completed this task in 6 villages. And this was done with community participation, with the help of CSR support. And after spending on an average 50 lakh rupees per village, we were able to provide drinking water at their doorstep. A tap was inaugurated in front of every two houses, there was one tap. And when it was inaugurated, women were crying. They had tears in their eyes because they were saying after 72 years of independence, they have seen water near their house. So this is the situation. Later on we did survey and we found 106 villages in this area, in Nasik district, Surgana block, then Jawar, Dahanu, Vikramgarh, in Palghar district. They are really facing this problem today also. So this is the way our organization is working in 14 states in different verticals: livestock development, agriculture, horticulture, women empowerment, and other this watershed development, drinking water. And we are touching around 1 lakh villages and 4 million families every year. Yeah.
This is so astonishing, right? After 7 decades of independence, some things that we actually take for granted, like drinking water. I mean, imagine till today, 106 of our villagers. This is a state, and this is something which is a call for action for all of us to really even think about and how we can contribute in our own ways to really provide them a meaningful existence, I would say, right? This is so very basic. But thank you, Dr. Juneja, for sharing. Aman, over to you. Tell us something about your journey.
I did purposely because in this few seconds, I could see all the faces were with anxiety. I work with children who lives with this anxiety when one cannot hear for the rest of the life. There are 1 crore children living with the same anxiety. Oh, I cannot hear. What's happening? My parents are talking to me, because these children are born deaf and hard of hearing. What I would do is just take you through quickly around the state of these children. In today's world, when these children are born in our country, parents को ये लगता है it's a stigma to them. It is ये पिछले जन्म का पाप है, ये मेरे साथ नहीं हो सकता. Nobody is ready to accept the child. जबकि वो छोटा बच्चा है, हंसता है, खेलने मुस्कुराने की उम्र है उसकी. As the child grows up, he or she comes at the age of schooling. Just reflect to if you have a child in your children's school, do you find any child with deaf and hard of hearing? No. So inclusion is on a paper. It's not real. And that is where 99% of these children, they drop out immediately at the age of schooling. And even though they complete their 10th standard, they're not there in any of the colleges where we have studied or where our children are studying. That is the state. The real outcome in your offices, do you have any candidate, any colleague who is deaf and hard of hearing? So this is what I call them as invisible population. So coming to my background, I have been working like you. For 10 years, I worked in corporate and then transitioned to this world of invisible population. And where right now, we founded an organization called TEACH. TEACH stands for Training and Educational Center for Hearing Impaired. We run 2 higher educational campuses, one in Mumbai and one in Delhi. And the ideology is to give them holistic development. That is, after 10th, they come into us, we give them higher education, they attain their own aspiration-based skill sets, and then they work into different organizations, not in India, but outside India also. So this is what we have been doing from last 8 years now. Thank you.
And to that note, Aman, I'll just share my own personal experience. CIPLA does a lot of work under the auspices of CIPLA Foundation. And in one of such events, I happened to visit a school with primary students who were hearing and speech impaired. And I think this is an insight for all of us to be really acutely aware of, because I was not aware of it till that time. You know, we send our children to school, we all have been to school, but do we realize we have all the faculties like auditory, visual, and these are such important faculties for us which aid our education, right? And which aids our memory. So one of the teacher was sharing with me that because they have only visual memory, right? They can only see an A and then they say this is A. So they spend the whole year learning the A, B, C, D. Then there is a vacation, and then the children go back, And when they come back to school, because a memory is so short, they have to start that ABCD all over again. Can you imagine how difficult it is for students with this, ability to really and look at the amazing amount of patience the teachers need to have to go back and teach them again and again and again. So that is something really, really awesome, which touches the heart and say, oh my God, how can we really reach out and do more for this? So I think coming back to, they say a journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. So salute to all three of you, because you took the first step in terms of doing something where we can only talk about it, intellectualize about it, but you actually went ahead and did it. So I'm sure this journey would have had its own fair share of challenges and navigational skills that you would have had to deploy. So can you all talk about it? We'll start with you, Farida.
With Pratham, we started with, as I told you, every child in school and learning well. And actually, we started our journey from 0 to 3, 3 to 6 years, 6 to 14. And we worked in schools where enrollment was poor. And then we got into this whole learning crisis, because it is not enough to have children in school, they also need to learn. We also work with children who are out of school. So child labor was one of our segments which we worked very hard on it. And of course, we have vocational skills, both with boys and girls. I just wanted to tell you this program in short. Having said that, when we started off, we were all talking about enrollment. Government of India was also talking about of enrollment. But we gradually found out, and I'm sure most of you have read the report ASAR, Annual Status of Education Report, which we've been bringing out for the last 15 years. And it took us 15 years to make governments and everybody realize that right to schooling does not give right to learning. And you've seen in COVID also what has happened. So children who are necessarily in school were not learning. And therefore, that was one of our challenges, to convince parents, teachers, schools that it's not enough for the child to come to school, but he should learn. You will be surprised that about 34% of our children who are in Standard 5 today in the rural areas are not able to comprehend Standard 2 text. And that's where corporate sector, people like you, need to look at education as a biggest game changer. The challenge, therefore, has been, one, is how do you start preschool programs? How do you look at foundational literacy, which my children and your children go to preschool right from the age of 2.5, whereas these children don't get to preschool till they're about 5 and 6. How do you make governments work on it, and how do you make parents aware? So we had a twofold intervention and a challenge, that parents, to make parents aware that this is your school, this is your right, and you have to send your children to school, and also influencing government policies as to how preschool was important. And I'm happy, in the last 2 years, foundational literacy, Nipun Bharat, you must have heard these names, has really come a long way. And it's not about Pratham alone, but it is, I think, all of us. One more challenge that we've always had is where, how do you navigate between small is beautiful and scale? I was a person who always thought small is beautiful. So you must pilot with 100 children, 50 children, and see what happens. Whereas my co-founder, Madhav, when we were working with the corporate sector, we always said scale is important. So our mantra was demonstrate, replicate, and if you're successful, bring it to scale. And that was a huge challenge to navigate every program. And how we did it was that we piloted it, and we tried to implement policy into practice and take practice to policy. And I'm happy to say that we've been able to influence child labor law, which has been amended. We rescued 60,000 children in Mumbai alone. And I'm sorry to say, when I say we, it is not Pratham. It is government, corporate sector, and this has been a lovely model where we as Pratham have really shared all our challenges with the corporate sector, and we've been really true partners. One of them is sitting here, Sipla. but many others who don't look at us as that you need money so you give it, but they're really true partners. And that has been one challenge we've navigated. Lastly, I just want to say one of our challenges has been that when you work with the government, who's on the top really matters. So if that government official changes or there's a transfer or something else happens, elections come, a lot of our work gets disturbed. So what we have really learned is work with the system, work with the middle managers, don't work always at the top, and also work with people. And I'm sure my colleagues on this dais are going to say this, that I've always learned, and it has been a slow process, but work with the people, give them what they want. Don't go as a Santa Claus and say, this is what I brought. And I think that has been one of the successful missions of Pratham. Thank you.
I think that's the humility of Pratham and Farida to say that all of you have done it. But trust me, all of you will know that changing government policy is no mean task. And I think working on changing mindsets of parents to send children to school is another tough one. So I think, can we hear a round of applause for Farida and Pratham? I think that is so amazing. Very, very well done. Okay, now since we are on the same line, let us hear your challenges, Dr. Juneja. What did you have to circumvent?
Yeah. So, I'll say everybody says we need clean water, clean air, clean milk, everything. And hopefully our children, grandchildren also keep on getting these things. Clean air, I don't know, with the speed of pollution and speed of all these activities, how much GHG emission will be facing. And although we are saying we'll be net zero by 2070, but efforts are to be done by everyone. So our challenge is basically, we are working since last 56 years, but a small work can be done by an NGO. We cannot go to every village, every place. We are working in far-flung areas. We can work in a pilot. Small work we can do. It has to be replicated. So replication is most important part. We started working in livestock development sector when animals were giving only half a liter of milk or 1 liter of milk. Now it has started giving 10 liters, 20 liters, 30 liters, even 40 liters. Now time has come where we are now talking of AI. You are talking of artificial intelligence. We are using artificial insemination. So artificial insemination with sex-sorted semen technique. So latest technologies we are also implementing. So why it is required? Because nowadays there is a shortage of everything. Shortage of fodder, shortage of human resource, shortage of land. And male calf is of no value. It is a problem for everyone. So now there is a technology which brings 90% assurance of getting female cows. So we are working on it. But this is not a small task. This is a challenging job because cost is 10 times more. So we can just do anything in a small area, far-flung areas. We have to go in a rural area, not work for villagers or rural poorest of the poor people. We have to work with them, for them. So that is a basic challenge that is to be replicated. Government, definitely we are conversing with them, but this is not that easy job. We need to replicate it.
Can I request you to share about the agri-horti-forestry example? I think that was something that people should really know about it.
Yeah. So 3 decades ago, when our predecessors, they realized that tribal people were migrating for more than 9 months to 10 months in a year. And their women were staying back in the villages and they had nothing to do and their livelihood was not assured. So a model was proposed to the rural people, staying we asked them कि आप अपने गांव में ही रह करके कौन सा पेड़ उगाना चाहते हैं. So somebody said we want to rear the mango tree, we want to sow lemon, we want to sow maybe custard apple or whatever. So we proposed, then they said कि इसका फल तो 3 साल बाद आएगा, तो आप तो कहते हो कि मैं migrate नहीं करूं, तो what is the solution? The solution proposed was agri-hortiforestry. That was horticulture. That means 50 trees of mango or cashew or lemon and intercropping in between. Intercropping means cash crop. Then forestry trees around the boundaries, because there was a menace of these wild animals, as well as some airflow was also to be stopped. So this model was proposed, and we started with only 4 or 5 families. As of now, we have impacted more than 2.5 million families, and NABARD has taken it to 24 states, and we are resource support organization for that. Now this is changing their lives. They are not moving out. They are selling saplings. We are helping them end to end for production of end product of these produces. They are getting income to the tune of not less than 1 lakh to 2 lakh rupees per family per annum. And beyond that, this is helping in reduction of GHG emissions.
Very good. Thank you so much for sharing that. And Aman, over to you. I'm sure you have a huge stock of challenges and navigation.
So I'll take an opportunity to share a story with you. और मैं हिंदी में कहूँगा ये कहानी. So ये कहानी मुझे ना पेरेंट ने बताई थी. So वो कहानी उन पेरेंट की है. तो there was a couple, and they were planning to have a baby. और वो they were struggling to have a baby. After lot of attempt, finally the mother conceived. And जब बच्चा हुआ तो घर में दिवाली सी छा गई थी उनकी, क्योंकि they were so happy and it was beautiful baby girl that they had, very healthy. And मानो कि एकदम घर एकदम रौनक सा हो गया. वो बता रही कि 3 महीने बाद एक दिन ऐसा आया कि ये मुंबई का घर है, चाल में छोटा सा, जहाँ हॉल भी वही है, किचन भी वही है. तो वो परात लेकर बस बच्चे को सुलाया, परात लिया और खाना बनाने लगी. एंड वो परात धम से छूट गई, पर बच्ची उठी ही नहीं, नींद से जगी ही नहीं. एंड शी गॉट सो स्कैर्ड कि क्या हुआ, मेरी बच्ची उठी क्यों नहीं. उन्होंने परात फिर से उठाई, फिर से परात नीचे गिरा दी, बट बच्ची फिर भी नहीं उठी. सो वो एक पहले जब डॉक्टर को कहते थे ना कि अगर कंसीव हुआ तो शायद डिसेबिलिटी हो सकती है, वो मन में डर छा गया. एंड शी इमीडिएटली कॉल्ड हर हस्बैंड, और वो आधे दिन छोड़कर काम छोड़कर घर पर आए. एंड कभी उस झुंझुना बजाने लगे, कभी इस तरह बजाते, कभी उस तरह बजाते. तो बच्ची एक समय ऐसा है, बच्ची हिलते हुए पर्दे को देख रही थी, झुंझुनों की आवाज़ को फॉलो नहीं कर रही थी. एंड दैट टाइम वॉज द मोमेंट ऑफ रियलाइजेशन फॉर देम. तब उनको लगा कि कुछ गड़बड़ है. एंड दे टुक हर टू अ लोकल फिजिशियन. लोकल फिजिशियन ने भी यही चेक किया, झुंझुनों बजाकर. देयर इज नो अदर चेक, द लोकल फिजिशियन इज एबल टू डू इट. एंड देन व्हेन दे टुक अप टू JJ हॉस्पिटल, दे डिक्लेयर दैट दिस गर्ल कैन नॉट हियर. अब वो बच्ची धीरे धीरे बड़े होने लगी. ये परिवार टूट चुका था, जो वो दिवाली थी वो अचानक से अंधेरे में बदल गया. एंड जब बच्ची बड़े होने लगी, आसपास के सारे बच्चे खेलने जाते, इसे कोई खिलाता नहीं. और बच्ची की जब स्कूल जाने की उम्र आई तो इसे कोई भी स्कूल इस बच्ची को नहीं ले रहा था. सारे बच्चे स्कूल में जा रहे थे. तो मम्मी को कहीं ना कहीं लगता था यार मेरी बच्ची पीछे रह जाएगी. तो उसकी माँ क्या करती, उसने ऐसे ही बैग दिला दिया, बॉटल दिला दिया, और वो घुमाने ले जाती उसको. बस ये लग रहा है कि उसको स्कूल जा रही है बाकी बच्चों जैसे. बट एक्चुअली एज अ मदर शी न्यू कि मैं ये इनजस्टिस कर रही हूँ अपने बच्चे के साथ, मैं झूठ बोल रही हूँ उसको. तो वो परेशान थी, बट बच्चे के वो चलता जाता. कुछ समय बाद उस माँ को पता चला कि बहुत दूर घनसोली में कहीं, तो ये मुंब्रा में रहते थे, घनसोली में कहीं एक स्कूल है जहाँ ये बच्चे जा सकते हैं, बट इस तरह के बच्चे पढ़ते हैं. उन्होंने जाकर वहाँ एडमिशन करा दिया, देखा नहीं कुछ, एडमिशन करा दिया. और जब बच्ची पढ़ने लगी तो बहुत खुश हो गई, अब बच्ची पढ़ने लगी. अब समय आगे बढ़ गया, बच्ची 7th स्टैंडर्ड में थी. एक मौका ऐसा आया कि मम्मी ने देखा कि इसकी किताबें और बाजू वाले एक बच्चे की किताबें 7th स्टैंडर्ड की अलग अलग है. बाजू वाला बच्चा जो एक रेगुलर स्कूल में पढ़ रहा था, ही वॉज स्टडिंग इंग्लिश, मैथ, साइंस. दिस गर्ल नेवर हैड दिस सब्जेक्ट्स. उसके पास किताबें नहीं थी. स्कूल में जाके जब उन्होंने पूछा कि ये बच्चे के पास किताबें, ये सब्जेक्ट्स क्यों नहीं है, तो स्कूल वालों ने कहा कि इस तरीके के जो बच्चे होते हैं ना, वो ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं कर सकते, तो इसलिए हम उनको ये सब नहीं पढ़ाते. तो एवरी स्टेट बोर्ड इन आवर कंट्री ऑफर्स 42 सब्जेक्ट्स टू अ स्कूल, जिसमें से हम 7 सब्जेक्ट्स ले सकते हैं. सो ईच ऑफ अस हैव टेकन 7 सब्जेक्ट्स जो स्कूल ने हम ऑप्ट किए. तो वो निराशा हो गई कि यार मेरी बच्ची वो सब्जेक्ट नहीं पढ़ रही तो कैसे करेगी, एंड कोई ऑप्शन नहीं था। उसने 10th यही सब्जेक्ट से बात की, लड्डू मेकिंग, साड़ी बॉर्डरिंग, मिल्क एंड मिल्क प्रोडक्ट्स, ये पढ़कर। बट 10th के बाद जब बच्ची को था कि मैं बाकी बच्चों जैसे पढ़ना चाहती हूँ, कोई ऑप्शन नहीं था। एंड दैट वाज द सेम ईयर इन 2016 व्हेन आई स्टार्टेड टीच। एंड उस वक्त इस बच्चे से मुलाकात हुई। आफ्टर 6 years, now after 8 years, she is into a unicorn company called Infra Market, working into an accounts firm. तो जो अपने चैलेंज की बात कर रहे हैं हम, द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट चैलेंज दैट, एंड वी कैन एक्चुअली इजिली एड्रेस इट, बट इट्स नॉट easy to address it, is change in mindset. We started changing mindset from of the parent. We started working to change the mindset of the student by themselves कि हाँ, हम जब हम लाइफ स्टॉक की बात कर रहे थे अभी जुनेजा जी, तो ये पेरेंट बोलते हैं कि हमारे परिवार वाले हमारे बच्चों को बोलते हैं कि ये भेड़ बकरी जैसे ही हैं क्योंकि ये बोल सुन नहीं सकते। So changing that mindset of parent, family, then coming to schools, and then coming to higher education institutes, and then here with all the corporates. That is the real challenge. Rest is very organic, funding, infrastructure, all वो organic challenge, वो हमेशा रहेगा साथ में. But this is the real challenge. And इसका जो ownership है ना, is very collective. Is we all have to take it up. And to be my experience, it takes one moment to change the mindset, not a century. One moment when we realize that, okay, I have to be inclusive. Inclusion is not a policy. You may see it in your HR books. Inclusion is a mindset. If I am, by mindset, I am inclusive, I will make sure to include people who are as different as me. Thank you.
So, Aman, what you have just shared really touches a chord. But I'm sure it must not have been easy for you as a personal decision because you're doing so well as a corporate professional and, you know, enjoying all the perks of a corporate life. And I'm sure there are pillars of support that enable you to do that. Ladies and gentlemen, we are very happy to share with you that his pillar of support is here amidst us, who really supported, encouraged him through this journey and helped him navigate. Can we have a round of applause for Sonali? Sonali, can you just... there. That's Sonali for you. And Sonali not only supported her husband to pursue his passion and what he really truly believed in, but today she's also an active member of Teach and, you know, provides all the necessary support. So thank you, Sonali. Okay, and I know I'm mindful of time, but there's one last question that we must ask all of you, is because we have a very esteemed audience here and time permitting, but I think I just want to ask all of you, what can we as individuals or corporates, how can we further this agenda? Because to be truly inclusive, to be really creating a nation which has environment sustainability at its heart and core, not for us, but for the generations to come, for educating all the people who are part of this country, because without education and literacy, we are nowhere, and to provide education to the differently abled. What would you believe and seek as a contribution from all of us? How can we as corporates enable and strengthen this journey? Farida, will start with you again.
I think there are several corporates who are doing this already. I would just appeal to all of you, as he said just now. One is changing the mindset and making it more inclusive. It is not all about money. It is also about giving us the strength to do what we are doing, and that can happen in a true partnership basis. The other important thing I would say is that education is a game changer, but with education, we as Pratham also are doing vocational skills. We are doing work with adolescent girls, working with child laborers. We are working with children who are disabled. You know, he was talking about higher education. We are working with schools. So I think have trust in us, okay? Come to us, talk to us, and I would only appeal that don't substitute anything what the government is doing, because government also has a lot of money. Let's supplement what the government is doing. Let's find the gaps. And if you trust us, and also give us sustained help, both in your resources and say money, for at least 3 to 5 years. I think we'll be able to concretely do something, because sometimes under CSR, there's only 1 year's commitment, and then many of us have to go and find out now where are the resources coming from. So I would feel, let's be partners in this, and it has to be a societal move, that it is not only inclusion, that every child in this country should learn well. Because I just was in Bihar just 1 week, and just take 1 second, 2 weeks back, I was asking one child, Baba, आज स्कूल नहीं गए, आज स्कूल है, आज मंडे है, स्कूल नहीं गए. What did he tell me? मेरा नामांकन है स्कूल में, लेकिन मैं अभी तक पहुंचा नहीं हूँ. Namankan is that my name is enrolled in the school, but I have not gone there. Now, how many years he'll take to go there, we really don't know. And there are several such children in the rural areas who are without school or are not learning. So I think it just takes a little bit of our time and a moment to decide that let's do it together. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. So, there is a Chinese proverb, earth is not inherited from our ancestors, it is borrowed from our coming next generations, new generations. So whatever we borrow, we have to repay with interest. So I think presently we are working with 85 corporates, and we have 170 plus projects implemented through these corporates. But there is a lot of scope, and lot more has to be done for our future generations, for various activities, I'll say. And definitely, if someone wants to join hands for betterment of these poorest of poor rural people, to empower and really see them happy. As Gandhiji was, when our founder, he was disciple of Gandhiji, he asked our founder Manibhai Desai to stay back in village and to work with them, and rural prosperity Gandhiji was looking for, and that is the dream, I think.
I think I would like to end this with saying that as a corporate, each of you have a magical wand. It's invisible, but it's there in your hand. Trust me that you can change life of many. That is what the power that each of you have. And just giving quick action points, or giving some, it could be through volunteering. It could be actually by partnering into getting this amplified, or it could be by funding, coming as a support to the organization, the mission. So these are the three areas that I think we can work together, and that's what each of us have that.
Thank you so much, Aman, Alok, and Farida for sharing. I'll just give an example to what you have just shared. It just takes a little push and a nudge. And here I would just want to share the Cipla story, because we talked of employee volunteering, right? That's where we use some technology, and I have my technology guru sitting here, Nikhil Murade. So when we started 5 years back, our employee volunteering hours were about 5,000, and we had 25,000 employees. So annually 5,000 was a very pathetic number, right, to have. And we realized that we need to do something about it, right? So we created a platform. We put all our activities that are there. That's where we use technology to say, okay, let's see who would want to be volunteers. And today, in a matter of the last 3 years, our volunteering hours, and we have only completed 6 months now, is 62,000. In fact, yesterday, so the point that we are trying to make is everyone here, if you have not volunteered or if your organizations are not doing, our only push was that if every employee does even 1 hour in the whole year, we would have had 25,000 hours in the year. Imagine, it's such a small number. But the efforts that we make, and that's what where Farida, Alok, and Aman are saying, we all can contribute and make a difference towards making our nation even better, because there are lots of people who need our help, and we just have to reach out to them. So the invitation for all of us is, can we today, when we leave this room, to take a pledge that at least we will we will dedicate at least 1 hour in at least the whole year and encourage our fellow employees also to do the same. That's the invitation for all of us, right? So thank you so much. I think we all deserve, all the 3 panelists here deserve a standing round of ovation for what they have done in terms of their pursuit of purpose and passion for the country. We really salute you for all the work that you have done, and we continue to pray and give strength to your passion, what you do. So thank you so much, and thank you for being such a wonderful audience to stay back. And I'm sure this would have inspired you in some ways to make that difference to your country. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much to all the panelists for enlightening us with their stories. I'm sure it has touched the heart of all the people in the audience. And a special mention to Dr. Raju Mistry for making this session happen. I would also request Ms. Indrani Kaur to please come up on stage and hand over the token of appreciation to all of them.